Hello students, let us continue chapter 8 in science. How do organisms reproduce? In last video, we have discussed just introduction part of this chapter, that is DNA concepts and copies of DNA's chromosomes, etc. Now today we are going to discuss our most important topic, sexual reproduction. So, we are also familiar with modes of reproduction in small classes that depend on the involvement of two individuals before a new generation can be created. Bulls alone cannot produce new calves, nor can hens alone produce new chicks. In such cases, both sexes, males and females, are needed to produce new generations. So, on all, we can conclude that when new generations are to be created from a single individual without gametes, then it is known as asexual reproduction. While the mode of reproduction involving both male and female sexes to produce new generation is known as sexual reproduction. But in next topic we will discuss why we need sexual mode of reproduction. For that, let us discuss some limitations of asexual mode of reproduction. It hinders diversity. Organisms reproduce very quickly. As a result, number of offsprings increase, leading to increased competition in asexual reproduction. Also, inheritance is possible from only single parent. Population cannot be controlled. Organisms cannot adopt easily. So, on the basis of these limitations of asexual reproduction, we need sexual mode of reproduction to discuss. So, let us discuss. The creation of two new cells from one involves copying of the DNA as well as the cellular apparatus. We have discussed this in last video. The DNA copying mechanism, as we have noted, cannot be absolutely accurate, and the resultant errors are a source of variation of populations of organisms. Every individual organism cannot be protected by variations, but in a population, variations are useful for ensuring the survival of the species. It would therefore make sense of organisms came up with the reproductive modes that allowed more and more variations to be generated. While DNA copying mechanisms are not absolutely accurate, they are precise enough to make the generation of variation a fairly slow process. If the DNA copying mechanisms were to be less accurate, many of the resultant DNA copies would not be able to work with the cellular apparatus and would die. So each new variation is made in a DNA copy that already has variations accumulated from previous generations. Thus, two different individuals in a population would have quite different patterns of accumulated variations. Since all of these variations are in living individuals, it is assured that they do not any really bad effects. Combining variations from two or more individuals would thus create new combination of variants. Each combination would be novel since it would involve two different individuals. The sexual mode of reproduction incorporates such a process of combining DNA from two different individuals during reproduction. But this creates a major difficulty. If each new generation is to be the combination of the DNA copies from two pre-existing individuals, then each new generation will end up having twice the amount of DNA that the previous generation had. This is likely to mash up the control of the cellular apparatus by the DNA. Then, what would happen? We have seen earlier that as organisms become more complex, the specialization of tissues increases. One solution that many multicellular organisms have found for the problem mentioned above is to have special lineages of cells in specialized organs in which only half the number of chromosomes and half the amount of DNA as compared to the non-chromosomes as compared to the non-reproductive body cells. This is achieved by a process of cell division called meiosis. Thus, when these germ cells from two individuals combine during sexual reproduction to form a new individual, it results in re-establishment of the number of chromosomes and the DNA contained in the new generation. If the zygote is to grow and develop into an organism which has highly specialized tissues and organs, then it has to have sufficient stores of energy for doing this. In very simple organisms, it is seen that the two germ cells are not very different from one another or may even be similar. But as the body designs become more complex, the germ cells also specializes. One germ cell is large and contain the food stores, while the other is smaller and likely to motile. Conventionally, the motile germ cell is called the male gamete, and the germ cell containing the stored food is known as female gamete. We shall see the next few sections how the need to create these two different types of gametes give rise to differences in the male and female reproductive organs, and in some cases differences in the bodies of the male and female organisms. So overall we can say the sexual mode of reproduction incorporates such a process of combining DNA from two different individuals during reproduction. The single cell divides to form the two cells, and it involves copying of DNA as well as the cellular apparatus. Is it clear? In the next section we will discuss sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So let us discuss the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. For that, observe the diagram of longitudinal section of flower very carefully. Here, flower is the reproductive organ in flowering plants. Angiosperm. Is it clear? Now let us discuss parts of flower. Sepals, petals, stamens, pistils. Among these, stamens and pistils are reproductive parts as shown in the figure. So very first, stamen. It is a male reproductive part and it consists filament and very important part, anther. Anther produces pollen grains that are yellowish in color. Now, pistils. What are pistils? This is female part. It is present in the center of a flower and is the female reproductive part of flower. It is made up of three major parts: ovary, stigma, style. Now, ovary is the bottom swollen part of the flower, style middle elongated part of the flower, and stigma is terminal sticky part. The ovary contains ovules and each ovule has an egg cell for female reproduction. Now, types of flower on the basis of reproductive parts. The first one is unisexual flowers and the second one is bisexual flowers. Unisexual flowers, when flower contains either stamens or pistils, it is called unisexual flower. For example, papaya. And bisexual, when flower contains both stamens and pistils, it is bisexual. For example, hibiscus, mustard, datura, etc. Now let us discuss the main sexual reproduction in flowering plants, or we can say the germination of pollen on stigma. So pollen grains are produced in anther of a stamen, while female gamete, that is egg cell, is produced in each ovule of an ovary. We have discussed just above. Now, what is the pollination process? It is a process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to stamen to the stigma of pistil is known as pollination. Pollination categorized in two parts: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination, transfer of pollen grains occur in the same flower, and cross-pollination, transfer of pollen occurs from one flower to another flower, and it is achieved by pollinating agents like wind, water, or animals. This we have discussed in small classes. Now, the fertilization process. When pollens stick to the stigma part, female part, pollen grains germinates to give rise to pollen tube, which develops in style and reaches up to ovule part. As shown in the figure, the male germ cells produced by pollen grains fuses with female gamete egg cell present in the ovule, and this fusion of germ cells is called fertilization process. And zygote is formed due to the process of fertilization. Zygote is capable of growing into a new plant. Now, post fertilization events. After fertilization, zygote divides several times to form an embryo within the ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and is gradually converted into a seed. Now, the ovary grows rapidly and ripens to form a fruit. The seeds contain the future plant or embryo, which develops into a seedling under favorable condition, is known as seed germination process. Now, last topic, activity 8.7, to observe the different parts of seed. Materials required: seeds of Bengal gram, chana, that is water, wet cloth, etc. Now, the procedure: soak a few seeds of Bengal gram, chana, and keep them overnight. Drain the excess water and cover the seeds with a wet cloth and leave them for a day. Make sure that the seeds do not become dry. Now cut open the seeds carefully and observe the different parts. As shown in the figure, here there are some questions like, what is an embryo of the plant? An embryo is a future plant which develops into seedlings. Now, which are the structures seen in the embryo? A radicle, a plumule, cotyledons occur in an embryo shown in the figure. What is the role of cotyledon in chana? Cotyledons store food nutrients in chana and provide these nutrients during seed germination. Now, which parts in seed are known as future root and as future shoot? Radicle is known as future root and plumule is known as future shoot. And how an embryo formed from zygote? The zygote divides several times to form an embryo. So, students, I hope you understood the sexual reproduction in flowering parts. In next video, we will discuss about sexual reproduction in human beings. Thank you.